Sunday morning, the Kansas City Chiefs visit the Cleveland Browns. Of course, Kansas City coming off a horrible tragedy, also coming off a very big win. Visit the Cleveland Browns. Chuck, you have your best bet on this game. The Browns are 6, total 37.5.
You know, when we do sports, I mean, a big part of, when you're looking at games, sometimes they'll put all the numbers together and they'll have the right line, but sometimes you have to do the psychological type. Where's the team at? Who do they play next week? Who do they come off of? There's a lot more that just goes into it than the
raw data. Yeah,
exactly. And sometimes that could, put you on the right side of the game. And I really feel the horrible tragedy that happened with Belcher, the whole incident, that Kansas City Chief. I think when the game happened last week, they beat Carolina. They played very inspired, 27-21. They beat them. But I think a lot of that had to do, I don't think it quite set in. I really feel like they played with a lot of adrenaline and gave it their all. But now they're going to have to live with this all week, what's been going on over there, a horrible thing. And I think they show up flatter than a
all
pancake.
The distractions.
Yeah, all the distractions. I mean, the emotional, there's a lot of things going on. Now you throw that in with the team. Before that game against Carolina, they put up 27 points. Before that game, they averaged, their last 7 games before that, they averaged 10 points a game in their last 7 games. And they're going to come into the dog pound there in Cleveland, where Cleveland is playing much better. 3-0 against the spread their last 3 games, 4-1 against the number of the last 5. And they've had some good games against Pittsburgh, Dallas, and of course, San Diego, Oakland, Baltimore was their 5 games that they played. Richardson running the ball. His last 3 games, he's run the ball much better.
Better every week. Yeah.
He's really starting to come into his own. We know Whedon's been playing better.
Yes.
I think it's just one of those great spots for the Cleveland Browns here.
VR.
Yeah, Cleveland's playing good lately. I mean, there's a team with a lot of effort, and more importantly, it's a tough place to play, the dog pound. It's not an easy place to go play. Even when this team's bad, they give you effort at home. And nothing, supports that more than the fact they're 4-1 ATS their last 5. So they're staying in games. And when you look at the data, Chuck covered the mindset part of it, the psychological advantage that they're going to have, which is obvious. Mm-hmm. But even when you look at the data, here's a Cleveland team that over the last 6 games, they have not been outgained by more than 15 yards, total yards, no matter who they played. If you look at their last 6 games, no one's dominated this team. And now here comes the Kansas City team that I think Cleveland can totally dominate. I mean, Kansas City's not a good team. I was so glad to see them win last week.
Yes.
I mean, nothing could have been better for everyone on that team. But this is as horrible as a spot for these guys as you're going to get. I don't think anyone even wants to play this game on that team. And for me, I don't think the number's going to matter. But this is another game. Last week, I circled Denver as just find me things to tease them with. Mm-hmm. This week, it's Cleveland. Sure. Just find me teams to tease them with, because this is not a game they're going to lose.
A couple things I want to point out. Number one, when you have a tragedy like that, oftentimes before you have really a chance to think about it, you can come together and gel.
Rally the troops.
Yes, and I think that's exactly what Kansas City did. Now you go on the road. I think that makes a big difference. I think that makes a huge difference. So you were home, still wouldn't like them, but I think on the road that makes it even tougher. During the course of the week, this is where it matters, because when you take the field as a pro athlete, you are going to give 100% on every play. It's just the nature of the beast. But it's the preparation during the course of the week.
That's it.
Is your mind going to
How are they going to be right now?
You're going to be watching films?
Exactly, and not just that, just all the things that have to go on when someone passes away.
Exactly.
The viewings, the funerals, all the there's so many things you need to deal with. Football's the last thing on your mind. I don't care if you are a professional athlete. It's just, at the end of the day, it's just the game. That's it. And when something like this happens, a tragedy like this, I think that's when, as a human being, you realize that it's just a game.
Right.
And when you come to that conclusion, does it really matter that much? It's so hard to then get up and go play against a team that's fired up. And the Browns are going to be fired up to play some football.
They're playing.
They've won 2 in a row, and they're playing well.
Yeah, defense playing well.
And here's the other thing. On the square, I made the game 9. I mean, without any of the emotional stuff. Now, when we put in the Vegas rankings every week, I've had Kansas City at the bottom.
Me too.
Because when I do my metrics,
I argue between them and Oakland.
Because I include turnovers in there, and they've been horrible at protecting the ball. So I've had Kansas City at the bottom. I threw last week's game out because it was such an emotional thing. And also, you have to remember, listen, they have their job to do, which is play football. We have our job to do. And I'm not relishing the fact that they're going to be so down. But, Chuck, just to let you know, you stole this game off of me. This is going to be my best bet, but you filled out the box first. So, anyway, we have talked about this one long enough. Let's go ahead and we're going to make it official. Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, I like the Cleveland Browns. We talked about the situation, and it really plays a role here. Kansas City, I really feel like they'll be out of energy, having to live what the tragedy that happened all week long. On top of that, Cleveland playing great ball. Last 5 games only allowing 17 points a game. Defense been playing good. Kansas City, before their emotional game last week against Carolina, the last 7 games before that, they only averaged 10 points in those games.
Chuck, I think you're right on with this one.
Yeah,
I think this is, again, very unfortunate, but again, we have our job to do. And I think.
And I love it when you make your rankings and you didn't include that game. See, those are good angles because you knew not to put that in, your numbers, and that's that's why you ran the books all those years.
Only 30. Okay, coming up next, we're going to hear from VR. VR is going to go the Colts and the Titans.
Best bet, baby.
VR's best bet of the week.
I swept last week, 3-0. I swept last week, so I have pressure. I got pressure.
But I've seen you respond to pressure before. You're going to do just fine. You can see all our videos at pregame.tv.